afternoon. We're on the record. If you could please state your appearances.
Good afternoon. Adriana White, 10973 for Howard King, who is present.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
And Darla Hawks.
Okay, and you're representing yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, any preliminary matters? Are we excluding witnesses? Do we have witnesses?
I don't know who these ladies are. The defendant never put anybody on her witness list. But if you recall, this is a case involving allegations of abuse and other things, and I would like to close the hearing.
Okay. Who is with you?
This is the kids' old foster mother, Donna, and this is my best friend, Melanie. It's from moral support.
Okay, so they're not listed as witnesses?
No, ma'am.
All right. Under the rules, either side's allowed to ask for a closed hearing, and then the court has to grant it. So I'm going to have to close the hearing. Did either side, I want to make sure, does the plaintiff have any exhibits?
Yes, I delivered them to your office,
Okay.
and the defendant acknowledged that she received them.
Okay, and now we also have exhibits from defendant. Did you receive those?
I received those February 13th, yesterday.
Okay. How many do you have? How many exhibits do you have, ma'am? Because we had one packet and then another packet came in the mail. Are they different? Okay. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. I guess we'll have to do it document by document.
As we go. Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, were there any other preliminary matters before we start? No? Okay. Did either side want to make an opening statement? Yes? Okay.
Okay, Your Honor. The parties here were divorced April 23rd, 2015, by way of a decree of divorce that was filed. And the parties have 3 children: Ethan, born November 12, 2007, Logan, 7/11/2009, and Aaliyah, born July 25th, 2010. According to the decree of divorce, the parties stipulated to joint legal, joint physical custody, and that during the school year, the children would reside with mother in Ohio and with dad in Nevada during the summer months, and that was established in their parenting agreement that was signed February 25th, 2015. Shortly after, so the parenting agreement came first, and then the decree of divorce followed. There was a prove-up hearing on February 25th when the parties drafted their parenting agreement, where mom testified that both parties were very good with their own kids. That was a hearing that took place before Judge Steele, before the reassignment to your department. So everything was in agreement between the parties in the sense that they realized that mom was going to live in Ohio. Although the children were born and raised in Nevada, dad had agreed to mom living in Ohio because she presented to him a situation that seemed to dad would be in the best interest of the children. Mom left the state of Nevada with the pretext that she was going to receive some property from a family that now she has retracted on, and that she had a situation that would be economically better for herself and the children. That is why dad agreed. March of 2016, mom files the motion that triggers all this, asking the court to set aside not only the decree, but also to hold my client in contempt. That hearing, that motion was heard April 6th, where you denied setting aside the decree, but granted her the opportunity to come forward to you to see why custody should be changed. And it's actually her motion that brought us here in changing custody. Dad has seen the children. Summer of 2016, the children were with dad here in Nevada from June till August when school was about to begin. It didn't go without incident because during that time CPS was called. Although we do not know by whom, it would have presumably been by mom. The children returned to mom's care. My client traveled pursuant to the agreement. He was supposed to be able to see the children Thanksgiving of 2016. Dad traveled to Ohio. I have an itinerary and proof of all the expenses he incurred, and mom denied him the ability to see the children in November. Dad incurred airfare, hotel, rental car, and mom flat out just denied him. He did call the police for assistance, but they were not able to help him. So our evidence today will present documentary proof that the children are not better off in Ohio. Mom lives in transitional housing. She lives, if you will, and we'll have to elicit testimony from her, but in a shelter, in essence. And she didn't escape domestic violence. She never told the court that. She never told Dad that. She never alleged that. But when she arrives in Ohio, she tells everybody that she's fleeing domestic violence, gets transitional housing, has not been able to hold a job. The children are having serious behavioral issues in addition to being isolated from Dad. So our request is that the children be returned to Nevada. Bless you.
Thank you.
To Dad's custody. Mom was ordered to undergo drug testing by you. You ordered her to do so in Ohio. We've never received any information of whether she did it or not. We are asking that she be drug tested again to make sure that, that she's not still going through that issue. She has a history of drug court in the state of Nevada. We're asking that the visitation to her either be suspended until we figure out exactly what's happening with the drug court, or that the schedule, if you do not find reason to put her on some drug monitoring, then that the schedule be reversed and that the children go to her in the summers and the school breaks like they're supposed to come with Dad.
Ma'am, did you want to make an opening statement?
Yes. The parenting agreement was supposed to be, he has them at any given time that the children were not in school. As far as the visit with father, my son is, since he has been home, has showed extreme fear of his father. I have gotten documentations from one of the psychological hospitals as well as his counselor. The reason why I did not let the kids go with their father on Thanksgiving, the school called Children's Services because my son showed extreme fear, said that if he goes with his father, that he's just going to kill himself. Howard knew about it. He talked to Belmont Pines. He said he knew about Logan trying to commit suicide, trying to stab his brother to Belmont Pines. He did not seek him help. The help that I've gotten him, I take him to counseling 3 times a week. He has people that he sees for CPT and quite other things. He's expressing extreme fear, as well as the other 2 children. Just him a little bit more. I am in transitional housing. I never said that I was being domestic. I asked if I can get into transitional housing because I want a better stabilization for me and my kids. In the long run, I already filed bankruptcy. I'm working on my GED. They're helping me with counseling for the kids. They're just helping me with so much stuff that I need extra help with. And I did qualify for permanent housing, and I will be moving in the next month for the permanent housing to where I will only pay 30% of my income. Due to the work, I've had several jobs. No, I cannot keep him. The school keeps calling me home from work. My son is having severe PTSD. He's been hospitalized twice over this PTSD. I'm just trying to show him love right now, and I do not tell my kids I tell them to call their father every day. It's nothing that I have against their father. I want him to have a relationship. But at this time right now, if my son is expressing this much fear of his son, my job is to protect my son. And that's what I feel that I am doing. I did take the drug test. I believe you guys had that in the last court hearing. And I am willing to do another drug test.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And one preliminary question that I didn't address earlier. You had stated the court was going to request CPS records. I'm not sure you were
We
able to obtain them.
requested them, but they're not ready. We checked again today, and
Okay.
they're not ready.
Okay.
And another.
We don't have them
Okay.
here in Nevada.
CPS told me that Howard refused the drug test when A.J. Mullins went to his house. He asked him to take a drug test twice, and there was no drug test taken. I requested but they told me it was going to be 6 to 7 weeks out till I can get the records. I've asked for them
Here?
now.
You mean
Yes,
for
from
Nevada?
here. Yes, Belmont Pines called Children's Services as well from the allegations that my son told them in a meeting, as well as the counselor. So I requested those, and I did submit a copy of the request from an email,
Okay.
and I submitted the kids' bedrooms and the house as well that we live in. It's an apartment, it's not a shelter.
Okay. I'm trying to figure whose motion is what here. Who filed first? You filed first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But then, okay, so Mom filed a motion to enforce an order to show cause on 3/22. And then what has Dad filed?
She was the one that moved to
But what
set
has
aside.
Dad filed? Has he?
Dad, she was the one who filed it to reopen March 22nd.
Yes,
Okay,
I
but
filed.
what pleadings has he filed? Anything?
Not, I've been unbundled. I don't think he has filed anything.
So he doesn't even have a counter motion on?
He had an opposition that we did verbally April 6th or whatever that, I think it was April 6th hearing. April 6th.
Oh wait, he filed a motion. He filed a motion on 2/16/16. I think I just want to be clear because I'm not sure if she was first. He filed a motion on 2/16/16 and it was set to be heard on 3/17. And Mom had filed on 1/7/16.
And then again in March, I think.
I knew it was for full custody.
Okay, so Judge Kosich set this regarding the motion to change custody, and he denied the set aside, and the order to show cause was denied. Okay. So I think you both had competing motions for custody. That's what it looks like. All right, so that I'm just trying to figure out who's going to go first.
Whatever your preference is, your honor.
All right, so ma'am, it's not going to help me right now, but thanks. Because Dad's motion was supposed to be heard on March 17th. And then I think everything got heard on April 6th in front of Senior Judge Kosich. All right, well, I think you have competing motions for custody. And we're all clear that, so ma'am, are you asking for What are you asking for specifically?
I'm asking for primary physical custody and child support.
Okay. All right. Are you prepared to go first, or do you want counsel to go first?
Can counsel go first, please?
I thought so. That's fine.
I called Darla Hawks
All
to
right.
begin.
And we'll give you some paper and a pen if you want to take notes in case you want to follow up on anything.
Raise your right hand.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Will you please give her some paper? All right, whenever you're ready.
Ms. Hawks, can you please tell us your current address?
1370 Todd Avenue, Apartment 1, Northwest, Warren, Ohio 44485.
And how long have you lived at this address?
10 months. Since May. I think it's been 10 months.
And did you say Unit 1?
Excuse
What
me?
was the unit number?
It's Apartment 1.
Apartment 1. Okay, and who lives at this address with you?
My children, Ethan King, Logan King, and Aaliyah King.
Anybody else?
No.
Can you describe the unit to us?
Yes, it's a 2-bedroom apartment. It has Aaliyah, Ethan's bedroom, a bathroom, a dining room, a kitchen, and a living room.
Okay, so Aaliyah and Ethan sleep in one room.
No, Logan and Ethan sleep in one room.
Okay, and then?
Aaliyah has her own room, and I have a pull-out bed for the couch.
And it's situated in the living room?
Yes, ma'am.
Yours? Okay. And how much rent do you pay there?
I pay 0 rent.
Why?
They go by income, and currently, till next month, I wasn't receiving income until the state, they give me some income. Then I will be paying $129.
Have you applied for a job?
Yes.
Tell us where and when.
I've applied for several jobs. BP, I actually haul the Amish right now and babysit currently. I've applied to BP, a lot of telemarketing jobs. It's called Neocom. And then Alorica, I've applied for just a lot of restaurants jobs. And it's been hard finding one.
Have you made it to an interview?
Yes, I have.
And have you received a job offer?
I have received job offers.
Okay, what job offers did you receive?
I was working at Neocom, and I was working there for a few months.
How many months are a few? To me, that's 3.
About 4 months.
And how much were you earning there?
$10 an hour, plus my commission.
And why did you stop working there?
I actually got fired due to Logan having some issues at school.
Around what time period was this that you worked there?
That was the second week I got fired. That he was. So
No,
I
I'm
worked.
asking you, what time period did you work there?
The
What
whole
were the
summer.
4 months?
Yeah, the whole summer, 2016, June, July, and August, and September.
In July, August, and September of 2016. And you are saying it was due to your son having issues that you were let go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What other jobs have you? Where did you work before Neocom?
I worked at a factory through a temp agent, and I was working there for quite a few months. They would just send me to different jobs.
Okay. And how much did you get paid there?
It depended on the job. It was between $9.25 and $10.25 an hour.
Okay. And you use the word few again. Can you describe what few means?
I probably had 6 jobs with that temp agency. They send you out, and then when they're done, they send you to a different company.
But time span, what would that be?
That was probably over, I want to say 6 to 8 months.
Okay. And when you were working at Neocom and factory or the temp agency, did you have other sources of income?
No, I had food stamps and Medicaid. And I've been driving for the Amish, and I babysit for friends.
And do you get paid for those jobs?
Yes.
How much do you get paid?
It depends on how many Amish I haul that day. Usually it's about 4 Amish. It's $60 per Amish guy a day. Cash.
And do you work every day?
No, not every day. Whenever they call me for work. It's usually about 3 times a week.
And so you are driving them because they don't have cars.
Yes.
You have your own car?
Yes.
Okay. And you babysit for friends, you said. How often do you do that, and what do you get paid?
I usually get paid $20 a day per friend that I babysit.
And how many friends do you babysit for in a given day?
It depends on whoever asks me. Usually just one friend every day, but then I also have a couple friends that'll call me and if their babysitter couldn't babysit or something. So about 3 or 4 different people that I babysit for.
When did you move to, did you live in Las Vegas at some point?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what years did you live in Las Vegas?
I believe it was 2005 till 2014, I want to say, or 15. No, 2015.
And is it true that all 3 children were born in Nevada?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when exactly did you move to Ohio?
I moved last year, or 2 years ago, February 26th.
Are you from Ohio?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you move to Ohio?
My mom needed some assistance. My brother passed away. My grandmother's really ill right now. And I just have a lot of family there. I have a lot of siblings. All my family's there. I have nobody here.
Except the father of your children?
Yes.
What about the children? Had they been to Ohio prior to February 26, 2015?
Yes, my son Logan went for, I believe he was 2 when he went.
And he's now how old?
He is 7.
Any other children have traveled to Ohio before?
No.
Is Mr. King from Ohio?
No.
And when you moved to Ohio, February 26, 2015, it was when you were in the divorce process. Is that correct? And you recall being present at a hearing February 25th. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you represent yourself that day?
Yes.
Did Mr. King participate at that hearing as well?
Yes.
And there's a parenting agreement that was filed that same day. And what does that parenting agreement say?
That the
It says a lot of things, but what
yes.
does it say about custody?
Howard is to take them on anytime that they are not in school, on the vacations and on the summer vacation.
Did you testify, and did you believe at that time that that was the best for the children?
Yes, I did.
And do you recall speaking to the court on February 25th?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall your testimony?
Not word for word, no.
Okay, but you do recall making
Yes.
certain statements.
Yes.
If I told you that one of the statements you made was that you told the court, we are both very good with our kids. Does that sound like something you said that day?
Yes, that day.
Okay. And prior to that, divorce was filed for, right?
Yes.
Had you left for Ohio prior to the divorce being final?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you leave with the kids?
No, I left for a funeral from myself.
I'm sorry?
I left by myself.
Okay. When did you leave for Ohio by yourself? I'm just going to stand because
it's
it gets...
December, I believe.
I'm sorry?
I believe it was in December.
So December,
Around December 6th, I want to say.
would that be 2014?
Yes.
So December 6, 2014, you traveled to Ohio.
Yes.
Do the children go with you?
No, they did not.
Where do the children stay?
They went with their father.
And how long were you in Ohio?
Until I came back for the court hearing.
Which was what date? Was it the February 25th?
Yes, ma'am.
So December, January, February, 3 months approximately, give or take.
Yes.
The children were with Dad by themselves.
Yes.
Did you check in on them?
Every day I called.
Okay. Did the children attend school during that time? The ones who were school age?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Were you forced to leave the children behind?
Yes, I asked for I actually bought my daughter a ticket. He at first said that my daughter could come with me to my brother's funeral, and then he changed his mind at the last minute.
Why did he change his mind, if you know?
I don't know for sure, but I believe that he didn't think that it was a good for her to come for the funeral.
Okay, was it a tragic death?
It was a drug overdose.
Okay. When you left in December, did you purchase a round-trip ticket?
No, I never purchased round trip.
Okay. So do you think Mr. King was concerned at all that you might not return with your daughter, or that it was uncertain when your daughter would return?
He could have been.
Okay. So the children stay December 2014 to February 2015 with Dad. Do you know where Dad was residing at that time?
He was residing somewhere behind Boulder Station. I don't know the exact address, but it was right behind Boulder Station in those apartments.
Okay. And when did you and Mr. King separate?
It's been on and off for quite a long time.
So you've been, at that point, had you been separated for some time?
Yes.
And who had the children been residing with?
It was back and forth at first.
Okay.
They lived with me and the kids' old foster mother. We lived there for about a year. And then I went and stayed with my friend Carolyn, and I had some issues, and so Aaron took them.
Okay, and how long did Aaron have them for?
For a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was around the time that I went to Ohio. So.
Okay. So, but I'm talking about the period leading up to December 2014. With the children living with you or with Dad?
Yes, up until the month prior, they were staying with me.
So, November?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I want to say October.
Okay. So the children, now we've expanded a little bit more, lived with Dad from October 2014 to February 2015.
Yes.
Any other long periods of time when Dad was living with them?
Yes, I was in a rehab and I was in jail.
Okay, and how long were those periods for?
6 months and 4.5 months.
So 6 months, 4.5 months, and then we have the period from October to February 2015.
Yes.
So this is a guy who has been in charge of the kids for some time. Wouldn't you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Okay. So you moved to, now I had to build some history just
Okay.
to make sure we are on the same page. Let's start with February 2015. You moved to Ohio. Where did you first reside when you arrived in Ohio?
I was residing with a boyfriend. His name is Ted, in one of my
Ted.
in one of my grandmother's properties.
Boyfriend. And how long had you known your boyfriend before you moved in with him?
I've known him my whole life. I dated him prior to me coming to Vegas for about 6 years.
And when did you reconnect prior to living with him?
When I came back,
Would that be in December of 2014?
yes.
Okay. As soon as you landed?
Yes, he actually picked me up.
Okay,
I mean,
so
we were friends this whole time.
okay, so December 2014, you reconnect with your boyfriend, and in February, you're living with him by then.
Yes.
Okay. When did you actually move in with him?
We were actually staying since December together.
Had the children met this guy before?
Logan has, when I took him to Vegas, or when I took him to Ohio.
When Logan was 2?
Yeah.
And how old is Logan in 2014? Or 2015, how old was he?
He's 6.
He was 6? Okay. So he hadn't seen this guy for 4 years. Would you agree that he probably didn't remember him? Being
Yes.
that he was 2? Okay. And your other children did not meet him prior to February 2015. So when the children arrive with you February of 2015, what address do you take them to?
1009 East Avenue, Warren, Ohio, 44485.
And they meet Ted for the first time, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What type of place was 109 East Avenue?
It was okay, but however, the electrical,
Let me rephrase
Yeah,
it. Was it an apartment or a house?
it was a house.
It was a house. Okay. And how long did you reside there?
I resided there till, I want to say the summertime, when, I want to say June or July.
of 2015?
Yes.
And so December 2014 through June or July 2015, you lived there.
Yes.
And in addition to your children and Ted, did anyone else live there?
No.
And how much rent did you pay there?
I didn't pay no rent
Why not?
because it's owned by family.
So you were allowed to live there for free?
Yes.
Okay. Which family member owned it?
My grandmother.
Why did you move out in June or July?
The electrical, there was an electrical fire and they ended up condemning it.
Okay. And where did you move to after that?
To my mother's.
And what was the address there?
218 North Chestnut, apartment 1.
And was that in Warren as well?
No, that's in Niles.
And what type of residence is that? Obviously an apartment,
Yes.
since it's a unit number. And who lived there?
My mother and my father, and me and my kids, Ethan, Logan, and Aaliyah.
Did Ted move in?
No.
Why not?
We had split up.
Was there any rent that you paid your parents?
No.
And how many bedrooms were in Chestnut Avenue apartment?
There's 3.5 bedrooms. One of them's kind of really small.
Okay. And so you moved in June or July 2015. And how long did you live there?
I want to say up until I moved into Beatitude House in May.
Of 2016 now?
Yeah.
Okay. And how far is Warren from Niles,
It's a
Ohio?
15-minute drive.
Did that move from Warren to Niles require the children to change schools?
Yes.
Okay. And did you notify Mr. King of the East Avenue address?
He knew about the address.
Did you notify him?
I told him on the phone.
You
About
told
the
him
East
the
Ave.
address on the phone?
About the East Avenue?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
He actually sent a card there for my kids.
Very good. And did you inform him of the name of the school the children were enrolled in?
I believe I did.
Did you put him on the registration information?
Yes, I did.
And what was the name of the school?
That's Willard. Willard?
Willard?
Yes.
And that's the one in Warren.
Yes.
Is that the first school they attended in Ohio?
Yes.
Okay. Then when you moved to Niles, Ohio, to Chestnut, did you notify Mr. King of your address there?
Yes, I believe I put something in with the court for the change of address.
Okay, you notified the court. Did you notify Mr. King?
Yes, I did.
How did you do that?
On the phone.
Did you give him the complete address?
Yes, he sent plenty of mail there.
And you indicated that you moved in the summer from Warren to Niles. Did the children have to change schools in the middle of the school year? Or did they begin a new school at the beginning?
I actually drove them even up until the middle of this year. I was driving them to Niles Primary, so because it is a better school for the children, better ratings. Warren's not the greatest schools.
Well, what do you mean Niles Primary? You had told me the Willard Elementary.
That's
was
the
school.
first school when I was living on 1009. But when I moved in with my mom, that was Niles Primary.
Niles Primary?
Yes.
Have the children attended other schools in Ohio?
Just McGuffey. McGuffey.
So they've attended Willard Elementary, Niles Primary, and McGuffey.
Yes.
3 schools.
Yes.
And the children have lived there 2 years.
Right.
Have you notified Mr. King of these moves? In
Yes,
schools?
I told him about every move. I've called him and told him that we have moved. And so
Changes in school.
no.
You haven't told him?
No.
Why not?
I just assumed that he would know that if I was moving to Warren that it would be a different school.
Had he ever been to Warren?
No,
Why would he then know that it required a change of school?
because it's a different city. Niles is a different city from Warren.
Did you put him on the registration information?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So currently, what school do the children attend?
McGuffey.
Are all the kids in school?
Yes, they are.
What are their school hours?
8. Well, I get them on the bus at 8:10 and get them off at 3:05.
And what do you do during the day while they're gone to school?
I usually just haul the Amish to work and then come back. Where I live, I'm required to do a lot of classes. So I take those classes. In order to stay in the transitional housing, I have to do my GED. I have to do like 4 classes a week.
Are you required to get a job?
Yes, I am.
You mentioned you have a car. What kind of car do you drive?
It's a van.
Okay, what kind of, like, year,
It's a
make,
Dodge
model?
Caravan. It's a 99 Dodge Caravan.
Have the children visited their father since February 2015?
Yes.
Since you moved, basically.
Yes.
Okay, can
In
you
the
tell
summertime.
First, let's talk about the dates approximately. So you moved February 2015. When did they first see him?
That summer, which usually the school lets out at the end of June.
So summer 2015.
Yes.
Okay, they returned back to Ohio.
Yes.
Did they see him when after that did they see him?
The next summer.
Summer 2016. Did he get to see them over the holidays?
No, he never came.
And I'm talking about holidays 2015.
Yes, never came. He told me he did not have the money to come.
And in the summer of 2016, did they stay the full summer?
Yes, they did.
And did he see them for the holidays 2016?
No, he did not.
Why not?
Well, Thanksgiving, my son, with the allegations that he is saying, he is showing terrified in talking about committing suicide if he had to go to his father's. So I thought...
Objection, hearsay.
You just can't tell us what the child said. System.
Okay. He basically was refusing to see his father.
Did Mr. King actually knock on your door?
No, he did not.
How do you know he was there then?
He told me.
How did he tell you?
He called and told me.
Okay, and in that conversation, what did you tell him?
I told him that Logan's shown extreme fear, and I don't think it's good for Logan to see him.
What about the other 2 kids?
They told me they did not want to see him.
Okay, and how old are your kids again?
6, 7, and 9.
Do you do everything your kids tell you?
Not everything, no.
Okay, why did you do this then?
Because of the way he was acting.
What about the other 2 kids?
They were just acting the same. Well, not the exact same, but they were expressing fear.
And did you have any witnesses there that you brought today to tell us about their demeanor?
About that day, I do have the school.
The school was there?
Well, the school is the one that called Children's Services.
What day was this that Mr. King called you to tell you he was in Ohio to see the children?
The day after Thanksgiving?
Okay, which would have been a Friday.
Yes.
Was that a school holiday?
Yes.
Then what do you mean by the school called Child Services?
Prior to the holiday, my son was expressing extreme fear and told his teacher that he did not want to see his father, was making sure the doors were locked. So they called Children's Services.
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
Who told the child that Dad was coming?
Dad did.
Okay. And did you talk to Dad before he actually made the trip out there about the child's demeanor?
I have talked to him.
No, I'm asking about this particular time.
About that particular... Yes, I have.
No, did you?
I did talk to him about how Logan's expressions, all of their expressions.
So Mr. King calls you, says, hey, I'm in Ohio. You tell him what's going on. And what did you stop him from coming to your house?
No, he never showed up at my house.
Did you call the police?
Did I call? Yes, I did.
Okay. And did the police, to your knowledge, contact him?
I'm not that I know of.
Okay. Did police respond to your call?
Out at my apartment, no.
Okay. So police never came to your door,
No.
and neither did Mr. King.
No.
Okay. And after that, the kid stayed with you, right?
Yes.
And your testimony today is you never saw Mr. King in Ohio Thanksgiving.
No, I did not see him.
What about Christmas?
No, he never showed up.
Has Mr. King sent things for the children?
He sent a pair of shoes and a book bag and a $50 gift card for Christmas. In 2 years of time.
And in 2 years' time, how many jobs would you say you've had?
Probably about 4, 5.
Okay. And the longest job you've held is?
About 6 to 8 months.
Did you work when you were living in Las Vegas?
Yes, I did.
Where did you work?
I worked on the strip.
Doing what?
Promotions.
Did you work for a company or for yourself?
I worked for Becky's VIP Services, basically for ourselves. It's a 1099, I think is what it's called.
And how long did you work there?
For several years.
When did you stop working there?
I stopped working there when I moved to Ohio.
Okay, so several years. Again, we need to put that in context. Several to me might mean something. 10 years, 5 years?
No, I want to say 4 years.
So you had a 4-year job
Yes.
that you gave up when you moved to Ohio.
Yes.
And how much were you earning per year?
It depended quite a bit. I want to say a little bit, about 80,000 maybe.
Were you earning 80,000 leading up to your move?
Not leading up to the move. I started slowing down because it's commission based only, and I was not making as much as when I first started.
So you moved in 2014, right? How much did you earn in 2014?
I don't remember. I don't know. Probably about 65, 70.
So to put it in context, you gave up a 4-year job earning 65, 70,000 to move to Ohio for what?
Well, the job was, number one, fatal to my recovery. We was down on the strip. You could do whatever you want. So I decided that that was not good for me. I did not want to be down there. I moved to Ohio to be with family, loved ones. I had nobody here. My kids had nobody here. There's only me and Howard here.
How long did you live in Nevada?
I've lived in here 10 years.
So in 10 years, you didn't meet one soul, nothing?
Not that's like
no one?
family, no. I mean, I have friends out here, but my family is my family.
Okay, and what does your family do for you now?
Well, right now they currently help me with everything. My kids, they're there for me morally.
If they help you with everything with your kids and you don't work, explain to me exactly what they help you with. Since you're not working, shouldn't you be the one taking care of your kids?
I drive the Amish and I babysit.
You said you drove the Amish to and from work.
Yes.
I'm assuming the Amish don't work all day.
Yes, they do.
have a
Actually,
start time.
they wake up. Yeah, they wake up at 3 and they stop at 7.
3.
And then you drive them to the
3
stores.
a.m., 3
Yes,
p.m.?
3 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So you get up at 3 a.m. to take the Amish to work.
Yes, I do.
And where
Actually,
do you leave?
too.
Who do you leave the children with?
I have my mother babysits them, or I have my friend Christy.
So when I asked you who you lived with, you said no one, and in fact in your lease it says no one lives there.
Right. Nobody does live there.
So your mother, who lives in a separate home, Chestnut,
Yes.
comes to your house at 3 in the morning,
Sometimes.
okay, to watch your kids. And
Yes.
how long are you gone for?
About 4 hours.
So you come back about 7.
Yep. I get
Okay.
them ready for
And
school.
what?
I get my kids ready for school. I put them on the bus, and then the rest of the day I usually have classes or case management, or I have counseling.
And then?
And then at 7 I go back and pick them up unless another Amish haul comes through before then.
And who watches the kids at 7 and for how long?
My mother or Christy babysits.
And for how long? are you gone?
About like 2 hours it takes to get to Middlefield and back.
What?
It's another city where I drive to. About 2 hours.
Okay, so you're gone from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. and from 7 p.m. to approximately 9 p.m.
Yes.
And who's Christy?
Christy is a neighbor upstairs.
Does Mr. King know her?
No.
Have you ever told him that you leave the children with other people?
No.
Have you ever told him about your mother watching the children?
No.
Does your mother have a criminal history?
No, she does not.
Has she ever been convicted of a crime?
No, she has not.
Okay. Has Mr. King met her?
Yes, he has.
Okay. Do you pay your mom for watching your kids?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you pay Christy for watching your
No,
kids?
I don't.
Does Christy have kids?
Yes, she has 3.
So she leaves her apartment and her 3 kids to come watch your 3 kids?
She brings her kids down in the evening to play with my kids.
What else does your family help you with?
Getting my kids to the doctors.
Why do you need help getting your kids to the doctors if you are free from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
I'm not completely free. I do GED classes, which is 4 hours a day.
Do you have proof of that?
No, I do not.
Okay. What else do you do?
I have CPT classes.
What is CPT?
It's basically case management for where we live. It's one I have every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and then the other one I have at 1 p.m. on Thursdays.
And how long do those take?
About an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, depending on what we're working on.
And how long is your GED program?
Until I could pass the test. I just recently tried and I did not pass.
Okay. So you're expected to get a job, but it sounds like you don't even have time to get a job with all the things they have you do.
I also work for my welfare assistance. I work 129 hours for that too.
And how much welfare do they give you?
They give me $524 a month.
Okay. So you moved there for support from your family.
Yes.
But you're on welfare,
Right.
and you live on in transitional housing,
Right.
and the children don't get to see their dad.
Um,
Does that sound like a accurate representation of the picture here, whether you agree with it or not? Are you on welfare?
yes.
Are you in transitional housing?
Yes.
Do the children see their dad?
Sometimes, yes. In the summer.
Okay. And do you believe seeing their father, who they grew up with and who you testified had actually taken care of them on a daily basis for several months while you were unavailable, is in the children's best interest?
Yes.
Why do you think that's in the children's best interest?
Due to how I know how he is with me and the kids when he's angered or when he's high or things of that sort.
When did you last live with Mr. King to witness for yourself him getting high or being angry?
The October that he filed this past in 2015, we were staying together up till then.
October 2015, you were living in Ohio, ma'am. Are you saying
No, I'm
Mr.
talking
King
about
was living?
2014.
Okay, so that's before when the divorce was happening.
Right.
Okay.
He was back
But
and
prior
forth.
to that, you had been the one in jail for drugs and other things, right?
He has too.
Okay, when was he in jail?
He was in jail the same time I was in jail for having crack cocaine in his car.
When was that?
That was in 2013.
Okay. But after
2014.
2013, had he been in jail after that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Had you been in jail after that?
24. I don't think so, no.
Well, you testified earlier that you were in jail for a little 4-month stint and then a 6-month
I
stint.
was in jail for 6 months when me and Howard got busted growing marijuana in our house when we lost our children.
Okay.
And then I went into a rehab.
Okay. And even after that, you still left the children in Mr. King's care, correct?
Not after they were both in both of our care. We got back together.
Okay, but you testified that when I asked you earlier, between October, I have your
October
testimony here.
2015. Yes, he was with them October 2015.
So that was after these things happened to him, right?
Correct.
Okay. Have the children ever been removed by CPS from Mr. King's care?
Yes,
When?
when we got busted growing marijuana.
Okay, I'm asking about his care. From his care.
No,
You've called CPS, is that correct?
They did call.
Since your divorce?
Yes,
How many times?
one time.
And what year was that?
Yeah, recently, this past summer.
Okay. Were any allegations that you made substantiated?
There's still an open case.
In summer of 2016, you called and you're saying there's an open case?
They're saying,
Do you have proof here today?
no, I asked for those records and the case is now closed, but there was a CPS out there. They closed it because they came home to live with me, is what AJ Mullins said.
Okay. But did Nevada, you called while they were with him, correct?
Yes.
And did Nevada ever say we're opening a case?
They did open a case.
And what happened?
They came home to live with me, so they closed the case. There was an open case. Howard refused drug testing. They came out there. They said a gun was pointed to my kid's head about a month ago.
Objection, hearsay. Those people are here to testify about that?
Sustain.
No.
Okay. So the children returned to you. Did CPS tell you never send your kids to Mr. King again?
No, they did not.
Okay.
I actually never really heard anything after that since they came home.
Okay. So do the children receive medical care currently?
Yes, they do.
Which children?
All three children.
Okay. And whose medical care are they under?
Medicaid.
You're the medical provider?
Yes. Care source.
No, I'm asking who's the doctor.
Oh, Dr. Valad.
Okay. And what is Dr. Valad's specialty?
He's a pediatrician.
Okay. So it's the pediatrician that we all have for our kids?
Yes.
Okay. Are any other medical care?
Yes. Logan's in counseling. They all see a dentist. I'm not really sure the dentist. It begins with. It's a long Italian name. It begins with the D in Niles. He also has Logan has a CPT worker.
What's CPT?
It's basically helps him with his social anxiety.
Okay.
He also has another person that comes. He sees 3 people with that, as well as a psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist. And remind the court how old Logan is?
He's 7.
And when did Logan start seeing a psychiatrist?
When he came back from his father's.
When is that?
August 30th, he came back. August 30th.
What
or
year? We
31st?
need years.
2016.
So when did he start seeing the psychiatrist?
It was not even a week into school, and the school suggested because he stabbed himself in the throat.
So
after.
I have never been to Ohio, ma'am. I don't know when school starts. You need to give
August
us a month.
31st it starts. I picked him up the day before school. So I picked.
September, that is when the school suggested that you call the
Yeah, about
doctor?
September 2nd or 3rd.
Of 2016.
Yes.
And at that point, the children had already been to their fathers an entire summer in 2015, right?
Right.
And they had been the entire summer of 2016.
Right.
And at that point, you had already filed a motion, and so had Mr. King. Right?
Right.
By September of 2016?
Yes.
Did you take them to the doctor for posture here in court, or because your children really needed it?
My kids, I put them in counseling in 2015 through Homes for Kids due to I thought that it would help better them with the move and as well as the divorce. I don't believe that it was going to hurt them. They needed help with the divorce and as well as the move.
Why did your children need help with a move that you portray here as being great because you got better family support?
It was more due to the divorce.
Is it
It was
because
an
they missed
emotional
their...
wreck for all of us. We all received counseling due to the divorce. You know, it broke our family up.
The children took it hard not being able to see their dad.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, don't hold back just because you're in court. You're saying that your children
My
needed
children love
counseling.
their father.
Okay. So that being said, you still think that living that far apart and seeing them once a year,
That is on him. That he sees them once a year. He can come down at
aren't
any
you
time.
the one who moved?
Yes, but he also said in court that he would come see them during their vacations. And we agreed that I would pay for them to come back and he would pay to retrieve them to come to Las Vegas.
And how do you plan on paying for this, ma'am, if you can't seem to hold a job?
I do hold a job. I work for the Amish and I babysit. And I'm also actually about to get Social Security.
For what?
I've applied.
Or for whom?
For me.
For yourself?
Yeah.
Is there a medical reason why you should qualify for Social Security?
I was on it when I was younger. It's a learning disability.
So you said, very defensively, that it's on him that he doesn't get to see them. Aren't you the one who moved?
Yes.
Aren't you the one who said they didn't want to see his dad Thanksgiving?
He did not know that. Yes, I did say that.
Okay. So we're back to Logan, psychiatrist. Does Mr. King have that information?
He spoke to Belmont Pines on the phone.
Okay. And is he still receiving treatment?
Yes, yes.
Describe what they're doing for him.
Right now they're giving him, he has a CPT worker. He meets with, his name is Will, and he works with them in a group setting. Then he has another guy that comes in, and he works with him on a one-on-one. I take him to counseling, and I take him to psychiatrist appointments.
Before you moved to Ohio, were the children receiving, or at least Logan receiving psychiatric care?
No. He should have.
Now, you said that him going to psychiatry after you filed the motion had nothing to do with you trying to...
No, actually, the school rep told me I had to take him to the hospital, or
Is
they
the
were
school here to tell us that, ma'am?
No, but I have.
Then I will object on hearsay.
Sustained.
Okay, tell us about the children's school. Let's start with Ethan. What grade is he in?
He's in third.
And right now, what is his reading level?
He's about I want to say a C. He's getting a C.
Okay, what reading level is that? Is he reading like a third grader, second grader, kindergarten,
He's
first?
reading like a third grader.
Third grader.
Just
Okay.
a little bit behind.
What about, and what are you doing to help him with reading?
The Beatitude offers them counseling, or not counseling, but they offer them tutoring twice a week there.
What are
And we
you
read every-
doing to help your children?
I read with them every night before we go to the bed.
Okay, what was the book you read recently to the children?
Recently, the Bible.
Okay, and what about something that's age appropriate for them to learn? Not that the Bible's not age appropriate, I don't mean it that way, but something to help them with sounding out words and things like that.
Well, we have, it's hooked on phonics, learn to read with the, it has cassettes, so we work with that currently. It's not really, right now I'm not working with them in per se, the books, I'm working with sounding stuff out with the tapes.
Okay, and what about math? How's he doing in math?
He does wonderful in math.
Good. And what about his attendance?
Due to some sicknesses because of the move, he missed 10 days because he got the flu pretty bad. I had to take him to the hospital twice. I couldn't break it.
What move?
When we moved here, the cold, he's not, when you go...
I asked you how's his attendance, and you said the sickness due to the move. You testified that you lived at 1009 East Avenue till July of 2015, and at Chestnut until May 2016, and that you've lived at your current address since May of 2016.
Right.
So what illness has caused the child, what move has caused the child some illness?
When you come from Nevada, which is a very hot state, to below zero weather, they get sick. They get the colds, they get flus, and...
Did you think about that before you moved your children? Did you think about weather changes?
Yes. They love the
Still
snow.
decided to move?
Yes, they love the snow.
When had they been to the snow?
We live in the snow. Like me and Howard used to take them to Mount Charleston.
Oh, okay, that's the same as 0 below weather?
No.
Okay. What about taking them out? You moved in February to Ohio. Did you think about their educational setbacks that could happen if you moved in the middle of a school year?
At that time, no.
You were just thinking about yourself and you moving, right?
No, I was thinking about how he was traveling for work and how it would be better set to have family involved in our lives at that time.
Well, when I asked you about the schedule that the children had, you testified that Mr. King had the children from October 2014 until you moved in February 2015. Now you're saying that you were concerned about his traveling and all that. Doesn't that contradict your testimony that he had the children for months on end?
Right. Well, he just he told the courts himself in the last court hearing that he planned
Ma'am,
on traveling.
I'm asking you a question. Don't answer the question with a question. I'm asking you. Did you think about yourself only in getting out of here, or the educational setbacks that your children would have if you moved in the middle of a school
I
year?
did not think about only myself.
So we're back to attendance. You told me something about some illness in the move in 2015. What about current attendance?
They're currently all enrolled and they attend school.
How many absences have they had so far?
The most 10, except for Logan, when he was in Belmont Pines in the outpatient program. He missed quite a few days of school.
Did you notify the school about his absences?
Yes, I did.
Okay. There is a binder in front of you. You're going to turn to tab 4. Let me just show you how to read these. At the very bottom, do you see some numbers that say PLTFF057? Very bottom of the page, like a page number?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm going to refer to when I'm referring to a page, okay? Do you recognize the document in front of you on page 57 of Exhibit 4?
Yes, it's a school record.
Okay, and which child does this pertain to?
Ethan.
Okay, and if you read at the top right-hand corner, go all the way across at the very top, what school year is this for?
2016, 2017.
Okay, and this is a picture of your child, is that
Yes.
correct? Now, it states admission history. Do you see that tab there? Second box.
Yes.
When was he admitted into this school?
9/27 of 2016.
When I asked you earlier about when the children started school, you testified that you picked them up August 31, a day before school started.
Yes.
But this says that the child enrolled in the school September 27th. Where was he between August 31 and September 27th?
I was driving them back and forth to Niles Primary because I thought it was a better school for them.
Okay, so where do you have records for that school?
Niles Primary. No, I don't have records. But
So you have them start at one school, and a few weeks later you change them to another.
yes.
Okay. And you think that's appropriate?
No, but it was something I had to do.
Why? Because it was convenient to you?
No, because I moved and it's hard to drive back and forth first
But you testified that you had moved
in May.
from Todd Avenue in Warren you had moved from 10009 East Avenue in June or July 2015, and that you've been living at this Todd Avenue address for 10 months, which is May of 2016. So you stated right now that you enrolled the child in Niles Primary because you had just moved, but that contradicts your testimony that you moved in May,
I enrolled them in McGuffey School.
which is this school here.
Yes. They were still going to Niles Primary. I couldn't no longer take them back and forth due to transportation for myself.
But you
My
had
car
already
broke
moved
down.
since May, ma'am, hadn't you?
Yes, yes. And I was driving them back and forth to school until I couldn't do it no longer.
Okay, let's take a look at the second page, page 58. And these are the attendance records from August. You see there August 25, 2016, which is presumably the beginning of the school year, until May 26, 2017. And there are absences at the bottom. It says absent type. Do you
Yep.
see the little box
Yes,
with
I
it?
see that.
Okay. And how many unexcused absences are listed there?
9.
Now, you testified that the child has been missing school because of medical issues that you reported to the school. Can you tell the court then why there is 1 excused absence and 9 unexcused?
When I give Ethan the paperwork, he refuses to give anything to his teacher. We're actually talking to him about that in the school right now. Me signing paperwork for him and him in return returning the paperwork to the school.
But so you're saying 9 times your child has been absent, absent, 9 times you have sent a note, and 9 times your child hasn't turned it in.
Right.
Yet the school didn't correct this record to show that.
No.
Okay, let's take a look at the next page. And there are exactly the dates that the child has been absent on page 59. Are you on page 59?
Yes.
January 30, full absence, unexcused.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Why was he absent?
I believe he was sick.
Okay. And then we have January 26th, we have an unexcused tardy. He arrived at 10:14 a.m. What time does school start?
It starts at 9.
And why was your child an hour and almost 15 minutes
He
late?
missed the bus, and I had to wait for a ride to get to school because my van was broke down at that time.
Okay. January 20th, we have another excused absence, medical absence, that's a note, right? And then if you go down the list, we have unexcused absent January 13, January 9, unexcused. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
And at the very, across the column on January 9th, it says per mom ill, but they still marked it unexcused. December 21, correct, unexcused.
Right.
December 12, correct?
Yes.
December 9, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So that's pretty much, looks like once a week he's absent.
Yes.
And then we have November 30th, he was tardy, arrived at 9:50. November 9, he had an unexcused absence. And then at the very across, you say, mom called family emergency, correct?
Yes.
And then 9/4, he was unexcused. But interestingly, it says under comments that you called and said was in the hospital.
Yes.
Did you provide a note to the school?
I sent it with him in his backpack. He never gave it to his teacher.
And how old is Ethan again?
He is 9.
And you believe it is a 9-year-old's responsibility to turn this in?
Yes, I do.
Why is
Because he's a very intelligent, smart 9-year-old that should know to turn that in.
This is the same 9-year-old. No, it's a different child. Pardon me. So you turn it in, and you testified earlier that you're available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., correct?
Yes. For most
And then
days.
October 21, another unexcused absence. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I move to admit number 4.
Any objection to 4 being admitted?
What's number 4?
I'm sorry?
Is this number 4?
I don't know what you're looking at. Do you want her
What we
to
just
confirm?
testified to, ma'am.
Will you confirm with her what 4 is?
The one you were just looking at.
Do you see it?
Yes.
She's moving to admit it into evidence. Do you have an objection?
No.
All right, that's admitted, no objection.
What about your daughter, Aaliyah? Does she have any medical issues?
No, other than sinus problems. She has sinus pull-ups. They want to possibly do surgery on her to get the bacteria out of underneath here. I don't know exactly where that area is. Right here. She has a lot of sinus issues.
Okay, and how's her attendance in school?
I think it's fairly well.
Okay, has she been absent?
Yes.
How many times?
Probably the same amount as Ethan.
Why has she been absent the same amount if she doesn't have the health issues he does?
Well, usually when they get the flu, they all get the flu in the same household.
They've all had the flu?
Yes, we have all had the flu several times this
Do you
year.
know the difference between the flu and the cold?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And have the children been hospitalized for the flu?
We took him to urgent care.
So you are saying that these 9
Not-
absences have been the flu?
Not all 9 of them. A lot of them, Aaliyah was having trouble with her eyes watering and sinus issues. I had to take her. She couldn't hardly breathe.
And why are her absences excused or unexcused?
They should be excused.
Okay,
But,
let's take a look
Sure.
and see what we have here then.
What exhibit is it?
10. Do you recognize Exhibit 10? It should be tab 10, like turn to tab 10.
Yes, that's Aaliyah.
Okay. And let's turn to page 63. And here we have same description of the attendance, August 24, 2016 until May 26. And you have 9 unexcused absences and 1 excused absent. Is that correct? Now, you just said before I asked you what her attendance was going to look like, and you said she was going to have excused absences.
I thought that they would be excused.
Why would you think that?
Because I've sent notes, and I've sent doctor's notes.
And how old is Aaliyah?
She's 6.
Okay, and it's her responsibility to turn them in?
Yes.
What is your responsibility in raising your children?
I get them dressed every day. I feed them every day. I read to them. I teach them. I bathe them every day. I have all the responsibilities to make sure they get to and from school, to make sure they're acting appropriately at school, to make sure
Think
their
you're
health
meeting
is
your
well.
responsibility
Yes,
when
I
they
do.
have 9 absences that are unexcused, and you're saying that your 6-year-old and your 9-year-old should be the ones turning it in?
Yes.
I move to admit number 10.
Any objection to 10 being admitted?
No.
10 is admitted, no objection.
Okay. Let's take a look at Exhibit 9. You sent me this document. What is this?
That is the report card from last year from Niles Primary.
Okay, and this is the one we're looking at, and number 9 is Aaliyah.
Yes.
And it says that it was for the school year 2015-2016. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look at the square. And may I approach just to make sure?
Yes.
There's a box, and I'll describe it for the court. Below the black bold line, there's a box. Do you see that here, ma'am?
Yes.
And it says name Aaliyah King. Do you see that box?
Yes.
Okay. And it has grade kindergarten, right?
Right.
It's in small print. It has her ID, grade kindergarten, right?
Yes.
And it has school, NIPS, which should probably be Niles Public Primary, right?
Yes.
And then PRES, it has 147.5, ABS, 26.5, and TARDI, 2. Do you know whether PRS refers to present, like how many days she was
Yeah.
present?
Yes.
And does ABS refer to how many days absent?
I'm assuming so.
And tardy refers to how many days she was late, correct?
Yes.
And according to this record, she was absent 26.5 times in kindergarten.
Right.
Is this what that document says?
Yes.
Why was she absent 26 and a half days from school?
Mostly because of either the counseling with Homes for Kids. I had to take them to counseling. Or she was sick.
So
I took my kids
you
to
have
counseling.
her.
Every one of them.
And it's, I'm sorry?
Every one of my kids went to counseling through Homes for Kids, and they went once a week.
And it is, in your opinion, appropriate to miss school while counseling is important, they could only do it during school hours?
They actually went into the school as well.
And why then, if they were in the school, would the child be marked absent?
No, they went into the school as well as us taking them there.
Okay, so do you have proof that these 26 and a half times they were either sick or
No,
at
I
a
do
counseling program?
No, I do not. The Homes for Kids, I get proof.
All right, so let's take a look at the actual scores. And let's do our best in trying to read these since, at least I'm not a teacher, but maybe we could figure it out together. There's a KR score, 57 out of 97. Language and literacy, what score did she get?
13 out of 30.
Okay. In your opinion, is that a satisfactory performance for a kindergarten?
No.
Mathematics, what did she get there?
11 out of 25.
Okay. And then we have social functions, 19 to 25, physical well-being, 11 to 14, and language and literacy, 3 out of 4. Pretty good, right? Language and literacy, 3 out of 4,
Yeah.
pretty good. Physical well-being and motor development, 11 out of 14, pretty good.
Right.
So where she's lacking are actually important subjects. Wouldn't you agree? Language and math?
Yes, and she has moved those up to all good grades this year.
So I'll move to admit number 9.
Any objection to 9? No? Okay, that's admitted, no objection.
Okay. Let's take a look at Exhibit 8. This is page 050 at the bottom right. And this is Logan King's record, right?
Yes.
And this is from the current school year, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I think.
Let's take a look at page 51. Absences, towards the middle of it. Unexcused, 10. Excused, 23. So the child has missed a total of 33 days. Is that correct?
Correct.
So let's take a look at the actual notes. It sounds like, let's start at page 51, going backwards. February 2017, I'm on here, page 51.
Okay.
Doctor's excuse, right? He was only absent in the morning.
Yes.
January 31, unexcused, because you indicated, if you look at the far right, that you called waiting for your son to be admitted into a facility. Was he in fact admitted?
Yes, he was.
How long, what facility was he in for? Was he
Belmont.
admitted into?
Belmont Pines.
And how long was he there for?
It depends on which time he's been.
Well, I'm referring to the January 31 specifically.
What year?
This
This year?
I believe he was admitted in there. He was in there for about a month.
January 31 is not a month ago.
This past 31. The school called me, and he was trying to inflict self-harm and running out the school saying, "Don't kill me."
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
January 31, it says you called the school.
Right. There's no beds
Tell
available.
us.
There's no beds available for Logan. He needs to go back to Belmont Pines.
So the question is, ma'am, was he admitted into a program? Yes or no?
There's no beds yet.
So is he attending school currently?
Yes.
Okay. So he missed January 31
Yes.
and January 30,
Yes.
correct? And January 26, it says he was tardy. Again, the same as the other child, an hour and 45 minutes late, 44.
Right. He had a meeting to attend to with his CPT worker.
Well, the same day your other son was absent, exactly arrived at the same time, and you said that it's because your van didn't work. And
Okay,
now
maybe
it's
that's
because you
when-
had a meeting.
There was one, I can't remember the dates, but there was one day that he did have to meet with his CPT worker due to some mental health issues.
And then January 9, you called in again. No note, just called in. And then December 21, 12, 9, 8, 7, the child was absent
Right.
pretty much the entire week, correct?
Yes.
No note, no call, nothing.
He was still at that time, he was being in the hospital getting ready to go to Belmont. I believe that's the time he was going to go to Belmont Pines, back to Belmont Pines.
Well, you said that you took him to Belmont Pines January 31 and there was no bed, and these
Yes.
absences are December 7th, over a month prior.
Right, he's been admitted into Belmont Pines twice. And we're still waiting on beds for him, as well as the school's not letting him come to some of those because he's acting out, running out of the school building. And
Does it
things of
say
that
here,
sort.
ma'am, that it's a suspension?
No, it doesn't.
It says unexcused
They're
absence.
They're not suspending him. They're telling me to come get him and stuff like that.
Okay, I have a couple questions.
Okay.
All right. When was the first time your son was admitted to Belmont Pines?
A couple days after he went to school. I want to say the first week after getting here from Father's.
September of 2016?
Yes.
And how long was he there at that time?
He was about a month and a half.
He was in there for a month and a half?
Not in the Belmont. He was doing an outpatient program too, where he goes to school to Belmont Pines so they can help get him controlled.
What's his diagnosis?
He has PTSD, social, I believe it's social anxiety, PTSD, and depression.
Is he on medication?
Yes, he has Abilify and Adderall.
Hold on, I have to hear this. I'm sorry, I couldn't find my pen. PTSD and what?
I think they
Social
said
anxiety and depression is what she said, and she said he's on Abilify and Adderall.
Okay.
What are the dosages?
10 milligrams each.
10 Abilify
Yes,
and 10 Adderall?
yes.
And how old is he?
He's 7.
Okay, so he didn't go to school for a month and a half. He went to school through Belmont Pines?
Yes, he did.
So that was what, September to October, what, mid-October
Yes.
2016?
Yes.
Okay, when's the next time he went back to Belmont Pines?
He wasn't even out a couple days, and he spoke to someone, and he just started self-harm on himself at school and at home again.
What self-harm?
The second time he actually tried attempting to hang himself.
Describe that.
Something was telling me to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I walk in there, and he was hanging from an extension cord.
How was he hanging?
Off I have like wooden bunk beds, and he had tied a knot to the top part of the bed. He can actually touch the bottom part of the bunk bed, but he wasn't even attempting to. It was from the top part of the bunk bed, just the extension cord was hanging over, and he had it around his throat.
And what did you do?
I took him to Belmont Pines. I took him to the hospital, actually. I called and took him to the hospital, and then they admitted him into Belmont Pines.
Does this
And then how long was he there the second time?
He was there, I want to say a week or two, and then he did the outpatient program once again for the schooling there.
Okay. How often does he see his psychiatrist?
Once a month,
And how often does he go to counseling?
once a week.
And when did you tell Dad about both of these times he was admitted?
Yes, I actually told Dad in the courts, the last court hearing.
I'm asking if you told Dad.
Yes.
The night you said that you found him hanging with the extension cord, when did you tell Dad?
I called him the next day, and he told me he did not want to hear my problems.
Does your son have an IEP?
Yes, he does.
How long's he had that?
He's had an IP since he's been in kindergarten,
And what's the reason for that?
preschool. He has a speech problem.
So is it only for speech?
No, now they excluded the speech, and now for behavior. And we're actually revising that next month. They want to come in, they want to have a talk, and we want to revise the whole IEP with the busing. He's supposed to have door-to-door busing in Warren schools. He is not receiving that. He is receiving riding bus with the other students. And we're revising the whole IEP. I asked them to.
All right, so at the beginning of this school year, where did the kids start school?
They started in Niles
And how long were they there?
for about 2 months, maybe a month and a half, 2 months. Not really sure exactly how long.
And then why did you change schools?
I couldn't get them back and forth to school due to some issues with my van, and I was driving them at that time so I could keep them in Niles. And I heard that there was more guidance counseling in Warren schools. They worked more with one-on-one. We were discussing on putting Logan into a behavioral school called Summit Academy due to he's not good with working around other children. He's always had an IEP with not being in a regular class. He's always been in an IEP class.
Okay. So you had problems with your van?
Yes.
Is that the van you have now?
Yes.
So when you do your work to drive the Amish, do you drive your van?
Yes. It's now fixed.
How far away was Niles from
It's
you?
about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. At tops, 20 minutes.
And now how far away is the school that they're in?
I can get there in 3 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Picking up where let me just ask you follow-up questions to what the judge said. You said you found him hanging from an extension cord. Does the child know how to tie his shoes?
No, he does not.
So can you
He described in Belmont.
describe how you found him?
It was tied, and when I asked him, he said,
It was tied,
"Yeah,
but this is a child that doesn't tie his shoes.
he knows how to tie him somewhat, but not to that extent." No.
Okay, did you call the police?
I called the ambulance.
Okay, and they came and got him.
Yeah, we went to Trumbull Hospital.
Had he had behavioral issues prior to moving to Ohio?
Somewhat, yes.
Somewhat.
Yes.
To the degree of what you're describing today?
No.
Okay. Did he attend schools in Clark County?
Yes, he did.
And you stated that his IEP was limited to speech.
Yes.
And when did it develop into an IEP for behavior?
When he came back.
In Ohio, correct?
When he came back this past summer.
In Ohio, correct?
Yes.
And when you say he came back from summer, but he had been with Dad summer of 2015 as well.
Correct.
And IEP wasn't developed then for behavior?
There was an IEP, but not for behavior. no.
Behavior. Okay. So prior to moving to Ohio, was the child on medication?
No.
Okay. Prior to moving to Ohio, was the child under psychiatric care?
No. I was
he
not
undergoing
allowed to receive
counseling?
any for him.
Was he under counseling?
I guess he was when they were in a foster home. They did receive all of something, and
Okay.
we canceled that counseling out.
Okay. So let's go back to his attendance record. Oh, one thing that I found you interesting you said is that they attended schools in Niles.
Is that yours now?
I don't think I even have. It should be off. Unless it's the alarm to go get the kids.
Well, let her get it, right?
Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
When the judge was asking you questions about what school did they attend and why did you change them, you testified that they were at Niles for a month and a half to 2 months.
I'm thinking.
School record shows that they started at their new school September 27th, and earlier you had testified that school had started in September.
It started August 31st is when school started. So
And they were enrolled at the new school September 27.
yes, so it was about a month. I wasn't quite sure on the dates.
All right, regarding back to the school records we were on page 52. Here we have all the absences, and to the right-hand margin, it says B. Pines partial program. This is the time period that he
Yes.
was in school, in Belmont, and it looks like the most, if we work backwards, going to page 53, it looks like he ingressed into Belmont Pines September 27th, right?
Yes.
28, 29, all the way to November 2nd. So the child was in Belmont Pines from September 27th to November 2.
Yes, some of that was a partial program where he only went like for the schooling there.
Okay. And you testified that you notified Mr. King,
Yes.
and you told him he was in a program all this time, and he said, I don't, whatever you said, he said?
When I called him, he told me he did not want him to receive any counseling. He did not want him to receive any type of medication, any type of care. I was informed by the hospital that CPS would be called if I did not put him in this Belmont Pines because he was showing extreme behaviors.
And your testimony was that prior to Ohio, the child had never been on medication.
I was not allowed to put my children on medication.
So Mr. King is not used to having the kids on medication, correct?
No, he's not.
Okay. So I move to admit 8.
Any objection to 8?
No.
All right, 8 is admitted.
Let me just... Now, let's take a look at Exhibit 6. This is a chart for Belmont Pines.
Yes.
You see that? Mm-hmm. And it's admit date, October 3rd, correct?
Yes.
And the discharge date is October 10.
Yes.
So this is for 7 days of all that time the child was there.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you didn't provide the record for the entire time?
I provided the record. I sent out a record of his whole Belmont Pines case.
Do you have it here today?
Yes, I did.
Well, let me ask you questions, and I guess you could present it on your case, because this is all you gave me.
I have a certified mailing thing proving that I mailed that out to you
Okay.
and to Howard and to
So-
your attorney.
Okay.
Over the course, I mean.
Okay, so this is for 7 days that he was at, and on page 19, it talks about Abilify, which you testified was medication he was on.
Right. And I was
This
wrong with
says
the
2
milligram. I'm
milligrams.
sorry, I was wrong with the milligram. I wasn't quite sure on that.
Okay, and on page 20, it talks about the reason for admission, and it talks about the auditory hallucination, self-injury, and that he locked himself in the bathroom and began to choke himself.
Right, that's the first time.
But when the judge asked you about the reasons why he ended up there, you testified about hanging himself with an extension cord
That
from
was
a bunk bed.
That was the second time, I believe. I know it's in my notes in there.
And then it talks about safety concerns. If weapons, lethal medications, or other lethal means of harm are in the patient's home, have they been removed? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
What lethal items did that refer to?
Any knives that I had, I removed from my home.
Okay.
So where did this happen? It said that he was locked in a bathroom. What bathroom?
That was while he was being babysat the night before. That even took place. He was being babysat, and sometimes he'll get angry and lock himself, and which I removed all locks, but he'll get angry and he'll just start hitting himself. And I believe that was the night before that happened.
I'm asking what bathroom was it in?
My bathroom.
But you just said you removed the locks.
Yes, I did.
So how was he locked in?
He wasn't locked in. He was in. She was
So that was a
holding.
mistake.
How he was doing it was he was pushing, like, you can't, holding the door so you couldn't get in.
So how do you know he was strangling himself if you couldn't see him?
Well, he strangled himself prior to going in there, and then he ran in there because I went to go after him.
So
This was seen by the babysitter.
You didn't see it?
No, I was not there. It was from a babysitter, Chrissy.
Where were you?
I was actually in a counseling appointment with myself for my counselor upstairs in the office.
Upstairs in the office. So where did all this take place?
In our apartment. Our apartment's like an apartment building,
Uh-huh.
and we have our case manager that has an office up there, as well as the domestic violence legal team, and then there's 13 apartments in our apartment building.
Your Honor,
So what's the reason you were in that building? What was your qualifying reason to be in there?
I went because I wanted to make sure that we have a better life living. It wasn't no domestics at all. I went there because I wanted to get a house that would, in the long run, would be more stable.
Did you tell them you were a victim of domestic violence?
No, I did not.
And I'm asking, so if this is something that's
This
about domestic violence, how did you get in that program?
It's not just about domestic
What
violence.
else
It's
is it
women.
about?
It's women in need to healthily. I submitted the evidence. It's healthy living. Women that need a house. I felt that if I got an apartment by myself and I moved on forward with having a house and working on everything that they're helping me with, it would be better for me and my kids in the long run. And so far it has been a really good program. They've really helped me through a lot of stuff, such as the bankruptcy and getting the GED, the counseling, everything that I need is right there.
But does it seem like your kids are doing better since you moved?
They were doing fine last year, and other than having some sicknesses in school at Niles Primary, they were doing wonderful. Other than their grades, they needed to get their grades up, which we did this year. This year, when they came back, I don't know what happened with Logan, but he's a mess. I don't know how to. He's mentally not. He's not Logan, and it's ever since he's came back. Prior to that, he was fine. He was doing good.
now you said your children were doing good before, but we just went over Exhibit 9 where your kindergartner in 2015 had 26.5 absences. So how do you mean they were doing well before when the record speaks for itself that in the first school year when they moved to Ohio, she missed almost a month of school?
She was sick a lot because of the weather change out there. It's a lot of below zero out there. Us moving from Vegas to here, I couldn't catch a break on her having the flu. We was passing it back and forth to each other, and that's...
Since Dad had to go to the restroom,
Oh, yeah.
and it has been a while, why don't we take our recess now? So we'll take a 10-minute break, okay?